2010 was not a good year for the public sector. In the May budget, the government signalled cuts of $1.8 billion over 4 years of so-called low-priority government spending. It was a difficult environment for wage bargaining. PSA members in ACC and Housing New Zealand in particular found themselves at loggerheads with their employers. In July, the government revealed its plans to extend a 90-day probation period to all businesses and restrict union access to workplaces, robbing workers of basic protection against bad and abusive employers. The PSA joined forces with other unions to support the CTU's Fairness at Work campaign opposing the changes. In October, workers staged the biggest protest in decades. 22,000 workers from Kaitaia to Bluff attended rallies to voice their anger. Despite the protests, the government went ahead with the anti-worker amendments to the Employment Relations Act and Holidays Act. Throughout the year, the PSA continued to advance its agenda and its work for members. At the PSA National Congress in September, delegates voted to review sector groupings that will help streamline the work of the union. In Auckland, organisers and delegates worked hard to ensure local government members retained jobs and conditions when 9 regional local authorities were amalgamated into a single Auckland council. In October, community support workers enjoyed a significant victory when the Employment Court found in favour of them being paid the minimum wage for sleepovers. 2011 opened with an ominous State of the Nation speech in January from Prime Minister John Key, who remarked that the public sector is still a long way from being a lean and efficient organisation. He went on to say that new public spending would be cut even further than stated in last year's budget. For PSA President Paula Scholes, that's a warning that the union has to be ready.
Policies that this government have introduced have impacted really heavily on the PSA's members and on public services in general. And I think we can see from the statements that the government's making that it's not going to get any better. If anything, it's going to get worse. It's really important that the PSA is in a good shape, that we're able to effectively respond to those issues as they come up. So that's why we've looked at our internal sectors and made some changes there to the 5 new sectors, so that our members can better participate in the democracy of the union and ensure that their views are heard.
And 2011 is obviously going to be a big year with the general election. What's your message to PSA members?
I think it's really important that PSA members take an interest in that election, that they listen to the debate from the various parties about what they intend to implement as policies, because it's those policies that go into what sort of services that we as PSA members and as public servants can deliver for the taxpayers of New Zealand.
At the centre of the PSA's election campaign will be the value of public services. The Canterbury earthquake has reminded everyone just how important our public services are and highlighted the vital chain linking those behind the scenes with those on the ground. Despite this, the government continues to draw a false distinction between frontline services and back-office operations to further its agenda of public sector cuts and privatisation. The cost of rebuilding will inevitably become part of the debate on public spending. In its election campaign, the PSA will be arguing strongly that our public services are needed more than ever and any cuts will be bad for the country, not only socially but economically. In February, the PSA brought David Hall, an international expert in public sector spending, to New Zealand. This is what he had to say.
As economies grow, they spend an increasing proportion of national income on public services, public spending. So this is not something that holds back economic growth, it's something that delivers economic growth.
Another hot election topic is likely to be public-private partnerships or mixed ownership models. PPPs end up costing taxpayers more and can pose huge financial risks. Our aim during the election campaign is to get those messages across to politicians and the public. We'll be asking candidates and parties to sign up to a PSA public service charter. our vision for a modern, innovative public service. It will be launched in June. We will use the Public Service Charter to engage with members, community organisations, political parties and the public. While we will be mounting a public awareness campaign in the media, the work members like you do to help spread the word is even more important. We want to create debate about the value of investing in public services. We also want a genuine debate about privatisation, asset sales and PPPs. We will be encouraging members and the public to vote for parties that promise to invest in public services, that commit to holding on to our community-owned assets. Between now and the Rugby World Cup, we'll be organising member meetings and talking with member and community organisations about our Public Services Charter. When the Rugby World Cup ends in October, we'll be engaging in 5 weeks of intense campaigning just prior to the general election. In the meantime, until we launch the campaign proper, you can sign up by registering onto the Working For You website. You'll receive regular updates as the campaign progresses. As both our National Secretaries say, your participation counts more now than ever.
It's been a really tough year for PSA members. It's been a year in which we've had an untold amount of restructurings and reviews, and members have had to fight really hard to just get fair wage settlements. And there's every sign that that is going to continue in the year ahead.
Now, the consequences of that, of course, will be more reviews, more restructuring, and really tougher times for all our members in the public service. You can expect from those reviews for there to be job cuts, more redundancies, and also for people who didn't lose their jobs, more work. There's also an election this year, and it's very important that we elect a government that will support both unions, workers and the provision of public services, and we don't want a government that will privatise public services. That remains one of our key goals for the upcoming year.
We still need to be getting fair deals for our members in bargaining. We still need to be building a strong union organisation and be pursuing any opportunities we can to be influential in all of our workplaces. The issues about public services are going to be very important during this election campaign, and the PSA is absolutely committed to being a strong voice and putting our issues forward. We're strong because we're strong in each of our workplaces. And the PSA is a democratic organisation. We need to know that we're organised from the ground floor upwards.
Well, it's important that all of you are active members in the workplace, that you elect a delegate who you know can best represent your interests, that you contribute to the union so we can take up the call for all members for better jobs and better public services in the workplace, at a regional level and at a national level. Without you all being active in that process, we won't be able to achieve the goals that are important to all of us.